They've got millions of followers, brand deals, and enough influence to make or break reputations overnight. But for some internet celebrities, that power becomes a dangerous weapon, and sometimes a one-way ticket to court. From Logan Paul's infamous trip to Japan's suicide forest, to Vitaly's arrest in a foreign prison, to feuds that explode into defamation lawsuits. The line between content and crime is thinner than you think. Today, we're looking at some influencers who learned the hard way that fame doesn't put you above the law, and that the internet never forgets. They call it influencer justice, when an online star decides they're not just an entertainer, but a moral authority, investigator, or judge. Sometimes it's framed as activism, sometimes it's just ego wrapped in a cause. But either way, the rules of real-world justice don't apply online, and that's where the trouble starts. Social media thrives on outrage. The algorithm rewards the loudest voices, the biggest drama, and the most shareable conflict. An influencer can accuse someone of a crime without ever setting foot in a courtroom, and within hours, millions believe it's fact. Fans swarm comment sections, sponsors pull deals, and reputations are destroyed long before any judge hears the case. It's not always malicious. Some influencers genuinely think they're helping, exposing a scammer, calling out a predator, rallying for a cause. But good intentions don't erase the damage if they get it wrong. Unlike reporters, influencers aren't bound by editorial standards, fact-checkers, or legal departments. They're only bound by their followers' attention spans, and that's a dangerous metric when careers are built on clicks. From a legal perspective, this self-appointed justice comes with risk, defamation suits, harassment claims, and even criminal charges. And when the influencer themselves crosses the line, breaking laws for content, the internet mob they once commanded can turn against them just as fast. Case study number 1, Logan Paul and the suicide forest. By late 2017, Logan Paul was one of YouTube's biggest stars. Millions of subscribers, endless merch sales. He was brash, loud, and built his brand on pushing boundaries. But then came the trip to Japan's Aokigahara, better known as the suicide forest. The idea was supposed to be another wild travel vlog. Instead, Logan and his crew filmed the body of a man who had died by suicide, blurred the face, and uploaded the footage to millions. They laughed nervously on camera, made comments that felt more like shock jock banter than compassion, and treated one of the most sacred and sensitive locations in Japan as a backdrop for clicks. The backlash was instant and global. It wasn't just fans, it was celebrities, politicians, and mental health advocates calling him out. YouTube suspended his premium ad revenue, Google dropped him from its preferred ad program, sponsors walked away. For weeks, his name was synonymous with disrespect and exploitation. Legally, Logan didn't face charges in Japan. Filming in Aokigahara wasn't a crime in itself, and Japanese authorities didn't move forward with prosecution. But that didn't make him untouchable. The real punishment came from the court. He couldn't escape. The public. Millions unsubscribed. His income plummeted. And in the long run, he had to completely rebrand, pivoting to boxing, podcasting, and carefully managed PR stunts to rebuild trust. The lesson: not every scandal leads to a courtroom. Sometimes the damage is entirely reputational, but it can still cost millions. And in the influencer world, public outrage can be faster, harsher, and more permanent than any legal sentence. Case study number 2, Vitaly Zdorovetskiy's arrest abroad. Vitaly Zdorovetskiy built his YouTube empire on shock value. Public pranks, outrageous stunts, and the kind of "I can't believe he just did that" moments that rack up millions of views. But in April 2023, one of his stunts landed him in a place far from a film set, an Egyptian prison cell. While visiting Giza, Vitaly decided to scale one of the ancient pyramids. It wasn't his first brush with controversy. He'd pulled similar stunts before. But Egypt takes its cultural heritage seriously, very seriously. Climbing the pyramids is strictly illegal, punishable by hefty fines and even prison time. Egyptian authorities weren't amused. He was arrested on the spot and detained. For days, details trickled out through news outlets and social media. Some fans thought it was just another publicity stunt. Others realized quickly that this wasn't a joke. This was a foreign legal system with no patience for influencer antics. Vitaly later described the conditions in prison as harsh, a far cry from the high-energy lifestyle he projected online. The legal stakes were high. Egypt's laws protect its heritage sites not just for tourism, but as part of the country's national identity. For foreigners, pleading ignorance doesn't help. In fact, it can make matters worse. In Vitaly's case, he was eventually released, but the incident damaged his brand, painted him as reckless, and proved that content can't be used as a defense in every jurisdiction. The takeaway? When you're abroad, your passport doesn't give you immunity. What might be a harmless prank at home can be a criminal offense overseas. And once you're in a foreign jail, your followers, sponsors, and YouTube subscribers can't get you out. Case Study 3. James Charles and allegations. James Charles wasn't just another beauty influencer. He was the beauty influencer. CoverGirl's first male ambassador, a YouTube channel with millions of subscribers, and a thriving career built on makeup tutorials, collaborations, and high-profile friendships. But in 2021, allegations began to surface that James had engaged in inappropriate communication with minors. Screenshots circulated online. Stories multiplied. Some claimed he'd solicited explicit photos from underage fans. Legally, James denied wrongdoing and insisted that any exchanges were consensual and that he didn't know the individuals were underage. No criminal charges were filed. But in the influencer economy, public perception can collapse faster than any legal process can catch up. Within days, brands began severing ties. Morphe dropped him. YouTube suspended monetization on his channel. Sponsors who once paid him to showcase their products vanished overnight. The legal takeaway here is critical. Not all damage comes from a courtroom verdict. Allegations, especially involving minors, can trigger corporate morality clauses in contracts, giving companies a quick exit without waiting for proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That's not a violation of due process in the criminal sense. It's a business decision. James attempted a comeback, posting explanations and apologies, but his audience numbers told the story. Millions unsubscribed. Trust, the core currency of any influencer, was gone. This case highlights a reality that's unique to the influencer world. Your brand is built on personality and trust, and it's held together by an audience that can turn instantly. You might win in a legal sense, but if you lose the public's belief in you, the verdict doesn't matter. The sentence is career death. Case Study 4. Defamation and influencer feuds. In the influencer world, drama isn't just a byproduct, it's a business model. But sometimes, feuds that start on YouTube or Instagram don't stay there. They spill over into courtrooms as defamation cases, where words can cost millions. One notable example is the lawsuit involving beauty influencer Tati Westbrook and commentary creator Without a Crystal Ball. What began as online criticism escalated into a war of words. Without a Crystal Ball accused Tati of shady business practices and other misconduct. Tati's camp called the claims false, damaging, and reckless. In 2020, Tati filed a defamation lawsuit, alleging that the statements weren't just opinion, they were presented as fact and caused real harm to her reputation and business. The legal distinction here matters. In the US, you can express your opinion freely, but you can't make provably false factual claims that damage someone's reputation. Influencers often blur this line, thinking that prefacing something with "I think" or "allegedly" is a magic shield. It's not. Courts look at context, tone, and whether the average listener would treat the statement as fact. The lawsuit was eventually settled, but not before both sides spent time and money fighting it out. The legal fees alone were enough to serve as a warning to other creators. The bigger cost? Trust erosion with fans, sponsors, and the broader industry. The takeaway here is simple. When your business is built on commentary or call-outs, you need to understand defamation law. One misstep, one unverified claim presented as truth, and you're not just risking a dislike button, you're risking your livelihood in a court of law. The common legal themes. Across all these stories, a few legal threads keep showing up, and they're the same traps that can snare any influencer, no matter the size of their following. First, defamation. Whether it's a feud with another creator or an expose video on a stranger, making false factual statements that harm someone's reputation can get you sued. And unlike public outrage, which fades, a defamation judgment can stick for years and follow you financially. Second, trespassing and jurisdiction issues. Vitaly's arrest in Egypt is a perfect example. Influencers often travel for content, forgetting that local laws aren't suggestions. They're non-negotiable. What's a prank at home can be a felony abroad, and claiming it's just for YouTube won't change the outcome. Third, harassment and targeted campaigns. When influencers mobilize their audiences against a person or business, they can cross into criminal harassment or civil stalking territory. Even if they don't tell fans directly to act, the predictable consequences of their words can be enough to create liability. Fourth, FTC and advertising violations. Hidden sponsorships, fake reviews, or undisclosed affiliate links can lead to fines. The FTC doesn't care how big your audience is. If you're influencing sales, you're playing by advertising rules. Finally, conduct that may not be illegal, but still triggers contract morality clauses. Brand deals, sponsorships, and media opportunities often include language allowing termination if the influencer's behavior reflects poorly on the company. That can mean losing income instantly without a single legal charge being filed. These legal themes aren't theoretical, they're the real-world hazards of turning a personal brand into a public empire and end the influencer economy. Ignorance of the law is just another liability. Influencers live in a world without editors, producers, or legal teams filtering their every move. That freedom is part of their appeal, but it's also why so many end up in trouble. They can spark global outrage, destroy reputations, and make career-ending mistakes in a single upload. Thanks for joining us today at Due Process Daily. Throw us a like and consider subscribing to the channel to help us grow.